Now, I've got a quick question for Libby. What does the moon do at night?
It goes. I'm literally running to the field because I'm trying to get a photo. Oh my god. Quick before it goes down.
Cuckoo, everybody, and welcome to the Aquarium podcast. Cuckoo, everybody, welcome to the Aquarium, the Piscean presented broadcast. My alliteration just gets worse. I'm Coach Rab, and I'll give you some health and wellness waffle. And we've got the lovely Libby with us to give us some, I was going to say floofy chat again. I'm going to have to mix that up a little bit. Again. Am I just repeating myself over and over?
Yeah. No.
Creature of habit and all that. Tonight's episode is facing your fears. What are you afraid of, Libby?
Many things.
Oh my God. Well, it's actually a full moon in Pisces tonight, which means we're going to be purple as beep. Now, I've got a quick question for Libby. Libby, what does the sun do? And what does the moon do at night?
The sun goes down at night.
Are you sure?
And the moon goes
So earlier on, right, I'm dropping my girls off, and I looked, and I was like, whoa, honestly, the moon was huge. So I then dropped Libby a message saying, any chance you can try and get a photo of that? Because we knew we were doing the podcast tonight, it would look quite good for it. And then her response was, oh, I missed it. And I'm thinking, oh.
Yeah.
What do you mean you missed it? The moon's going, and I was like, and I just kind of dismissed it. And I get this video message of you pegging it down.
I am literally running. I'm literally running to the field because I'm trying to get a photo. Shit, it looks massive. Oh my god. Quick before it goes down.
And then I'm watching going, oh, good effort, you know, you're getting stuck in. And then the very end, but you're like, I want to get there before it goes down. I'm like, Libby, it's a moon.
Do you know what I was thinking?
It goes up.
Do you know what I was thinking as well? I was thinking, oh my god, this is going to be great for our podcast. I really can't miss this. I'm running down the street with no shoes on, literally just my socks. I nearly stood in dog shit because I had to run on the grass, but I didn't care. Because apparently the moon goes down.
Well, I went back and listened to what I'd said because I thought I'd made the mistake because it wouldn't be beyond me to be like, Libby, get the sunset, you know.
I wasn't thinking.
Oh, well, there we are.
And then when you said, I realised. Oh dear.
So full moon in Pisces, which means we will be twice as hyper, right?
Yeah, it really was a full moon.
Yeah,
It was
huge.
massive.
Yeah. Do you know that full moons, there is such a thing as lunatics? You've heard that before? I mean, obviously people hear lunatic,
Oh,
right?
I know, there is lunatic.
Yes.
Lunatics,
yeah. So they say that a lunatic, because we're made up of, 70-something% water, right? But it's also to do with how much water's in the brain, and a lunatic has something like 0.1%, or maybe a bit more than that, water in their brain. And because the moon can control the tides in the sea, you know, the moon's gravitational force affects the tides in the seas in the ocean, they can also have, it's suggested, an influence on a lunatic's brain. Which is why when there's a full moon, a lunatic, they go a little bit loopy.
Is that not how, when you explain the star signs to me?
Well, that's my understanding of star signs, because obviously, like, I'm into my astrology, right? But I don't know how if I believe it for predicting the future and things. I don't know. But I do buy into it for personality types because, like, we're Piscean and we are very, very similar. And in other star signs of people that are born at the same time of year typically have very, very similar character traits, right? And then the way I understand it is like, well, when they were forming in their mother's womb, there would have been certain gravitational forces depending on where they were in the calendar year, where the moon was and all this kind of good stuff. You could be forgiven for thinking that when their brains were forming, they formed a particular way. Because I don't think it's a coincidence that all Pisceans are similarly awesome. don't. Well, we're all a bit nuts, let's be fair. But we all have similar traits. It's like if you know a Leo, Leos are always quite attention-seeking and quite solo and strong and all that kind of stuff. And they have similar traits. And all the different star signs, you typically read them, you think, yeah, that's that person. Or if that's you, they'll be like, oh yeah, that's me, usually. I mean, what's the chances?
Have you ever met a Pisces that's not, you wouldn't think would be a Pisces?
I'm not sure actually, because then you get kind of grey areas, don't you? When if someone's born prematurely or something, you think, oh, they might have been born an Aquarius, which is a sign just before, but they would have been born a Pisces if they'd gone full term. So I don't know, it gets a bit mucky, but we're true Pisces. We're March Pisceans.
Yeah, we are. Our birthdays are
Very, very close.
very close.
Very close.
We are awesome, aren't we?
I wasn't going to be the one to say it.
Yeah. But
we're nuts as well.
But yeah, we are nuts. But also, I didn't understand it all until I met you.
Yeah.
And then when you told me the personality traits, I was like, now I see it.
Yeah, yeah.
I do. I definitely agree. Well, that's with Pisces. I don't know, but well, actually, others. To be fair, other signs do make sense as well. But yeah, I know what you mean.
When I first got into it, oh God, what age was I? Oh, I think it was like early 20s. And I think I was like heartbroken or something. And I got into it, I looked, and then I was like, because I started like cross-referencing your star sign with all previous partners. And you were like, oh my goodness. And this one site I went on at the time, I can't remember what it was called, it was really, really good. They probably charge for that kind of quality now. It was telling you exactly what would go wrong with these two star signs if they were not well matched. And I was reading it, I was like, oh, that's exactly what happened.
It was right then.
Oh, it was undeniably right. It was just like there's certain signs a Piscean just should not go near, basically.
You loved it when you heard I was a Pisces.
I did. I was like, really?
Do you remember when you said you were like, oh, you're a fish?
Yeah.
And I didn't know what you meant. I was like, I'm a fish? I was like, this is some weird chat up line.
I know, I do have the weird chat.
I don't know. That's a great chat. You smell a fish? Or I'm not sure.
But then when I explained it,
I know, you then explained it. I was like, oh, right, okay.
Yeah. And hence, that's the very basis of our Piscean podcast. And if you are a Piscean, you'll know what we're talking about. We're weird and wonderful and very creative, rather strange and emotional and sensitive.
Yeah, definitely.
Have you ever met a man as sensitive as me? If you say no, I'm going to be hurt.
I haven't, but you're sensitive in a good way.
In a good way.
It's not in a bad way. You've got a big heart.
Big heart.
You do. You've got a massive heart.
Oh, just keep talking about what's massive. Just keep going. Just keep going.
Have a massive
throbbing heart.
I love your heart.
It only beats for you, darling.
Yeah, thank you.
So what have you been up to this week, Libby? And once again, I will pretend like I don't know.
I've been quite busy back on the road.
Back on the road.
Last time I said I had my van. I got a new dog.
Uh-huh.
A new dog started. I don't think these guys know I'm even a dog walker, do they?
They know now.
Well, I'm actually a dog walker. And I also do homeboarding, but...
She do. You
I do.
You do.
So I had a new dog start this week, so that went really well.
Happy days.
Yeah, but just working. Should have probably exercised this week.
I know, we haven't pumped down for a while.
We haven't. I've been meaning to run. Do you know what? I love running in the winter. See, when it's really crisp in the morning, it's nice to run. We were doing 5 a.m.
runs for a while.
Remember that?
That was like...
That did not last.
That was so summer of 2024.
That didn't
Well,
last,
it was leading up to the photo shoot. So we need to set a new goal. I think that's the problem, isn't it? Because if you don't have a direct or a goal, you tick over, but you kind of...
Yeah. But you get up early anyway.
I don't sleep. I wait.
But I mean, we were literally getting up at like 4. You were like, yes, let's do it. Let's get up at 4 a.m. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, sure.
You can't function on that kind of sleep.
Oh,
I've actually left you alone to sleep
like
longer.
So happy in the morning at like...
Am I annoyingly happy in the morning?
4? No, I love it. But when we were doing the 5 a.m, you were getting up at like 4, I was literally
I was
like,
like,
I love the money. I'm like,
well, at the end of the day, I start to run out of steam. All right, and it's happened actually when.
I wonder why.
Well, sometimes if I've had a coaching call that's late and I don't have the same energy, and then for whatever reason they moved to earlier on in the day, they're like, "Oh, you're so full of beans." I was like, "Yeah, you get me early on in the day, I've got all the energy." Later on, I'm like, "Yeah, not so much."
Yeah, you're definitely a morning person.
Yeah.
Am I a morning person?
A morning? Morning?
Am I a morning?
Yeah, when you get up early, you're not a grumpy morning person, but you're somewhere in between. You aren't grumpy.
I know I'm not.
You're just not quite as energetic as I am, but that's okay. That's okay. You're a close second. This week it was my dad's birthday today, actually, and I've been playing online chess with one of my clients' husbands who lives in Alaska, and we have some awesome games, and we just play it on chess.com advert, and but it's really handy because you can play it, and Alaska and here I think it's a 9 or 10 hour time difference or something ridiculous. And so you just play your moves and then you come back to it. And I remember I was trying to kind of coax my dad into it because my dad taught me how to play chess. And he's kind of old school. And I was chatting to him one day and he said, oh, he was this close to getting the app. I was like, oh, I didn't realise. I just thought I was mentioning it. He was just blanking it. But no, it was this close to getting him on there. And he says he prefers a real board. I was like, ha, I've got you now. So I ordered him a board and I got myself a nice board. And now we play it over the phone. So we have a telephone call. I know a video call would be easier, but he's not into that. So we have a telephone call, and we labelled the board much like you would in battleships, A to H and 1 to 9 or whatever it is. And, or 1 to 8, 9, 8, whatever. It doesn't matter. And we play the game over the phone. And because it was his birthday today, played him a game of chess. So,
and what were the results?
Well,
I know you want to tell us.
Do you want to come back to my place and look at my trophies? Nothing reeks macho man like a chess champion. Well, he actually won he's really good at chess. Of course he's going to beat me. But then the second game, I took one back. So
and also the previous game.
Yeah.
Don't forget the previous games.
Yeah. So, I mean, I sometimes don't want to tell Libby because when I come in the door, I'm like, I won. And she just wants to rip my clothes off me. I'm like, whoa, easy, tiger, you know. I know. Look at her, see, she can barely keep her eyes off me. Look at this. We've got a podcast to film, right?
I know. Like,
honestly,
it's just so desirable.
I know. This is it.
You beat your dad at chess.
I beat him good. Yeah. 64-year-old man.
Even though I cannot play it. It's very impressive, to be fair. You're very good at chess.
I try. So yeah, I was doing that today, and what else did I do today? A few other bits and pieces. Saw my girlies, and then we're recording this incredible podcast tonight, a day early, because it's the pie. We normally record them on Wednesday nights, but full moon in Pisces cannot be ignored. So we got our jam shed, which I actually quite like, by the way. Normally I get the wine from the Devil's Cellar, but you've got me into this jam shed. It's Australian, isn't it?
Is it?
I think it is. I don't know. I thought it was.
Every wine is Australian. Every wine is Australian, darling.
They do it definitely down under.
Just in accordingly.
Yeah.
It's good, isn't it? Jam Shed was my dad's wine.
Oh, is that right?
That's why I have it's got a soft spot for me. But Jam Shed, you know why it's called Jam Shed, right?
I don't, but I'd like you to educate us.
So Jam Shed's called Jam Shed because it's meant to be like Jammy Dodger.
Is that right?
Tasting.
Yeah. I'll take that.
You also like rosé, haven't you? Oh!
We'll edit that out.
Oh, edit that out. If you're going to edit that out...
Look, all those points I just earned with all the ladies out there, they now know I'm a chess champion, and then you've just sucker punched me by telling everybody I drink rosé wine. Fine.
What's wrong with rosé wine?
There's nothing.
You also drink whiskey.
Yeah. Yeah.
manly.
And I drink whiskey in my left hand while pumping a dumbbell, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, what's this bit of hair here? Sorry, guys, the hair isn't as shiny
Well,
today.
I actually have a question on that later, so there we go.
Oh, why is it so greasy?
Yes. Right, there's our 15 minutes of waffle. We will get down to business. Facing your fears. Have you any fears, first and foremost?
Oh, yes, I do, yeah.
Now, when it comes to fears, you can slice them in two. You can have rational fears and irrational fears, right?
Right.
You can still be afraid of them regardless, but it's a nice way of dealing with them so that, like a rational fear is a fear of something that is actually going to hurt or injure you or could potentially happen to you. Like a fear of tigers is rational if you were around tigers often enough.
Does that include illnesses?
Potentially, if there's a possibility that you could catch it. But an irrational fear is being afraid of something that's extremely unlikely. Like, I'm so afraid of aliens. It's like, I'm not saying there's not aliens, but the chances of aliens coming down and selecting a chess champion like myself, it's just not going to happen. I hope. But see, so you can, when you're dealing with them, it's quite, you can slice it. Is it rational or irrational fear? So your fears, Libby.
My biggest fear is growing old.
Oh.
Yeah. That is, I am more afraid of being old. As in, when I say old, I mean 40. Ah, kidding. I'm kidding. No, totally joking.
That's Rosie Wine's 40.
I mean, like, not being able to do the things that I could do now. So, like walking from one room to the next. Do you know what I mean? So that panics me, the thought of not being able to get up from a chair really easy.
Yeah.
That is a big fear of mine. Or having somebody needing to help me sit on a toilet, or that is a massive fear of mine. Not being able to do things myself really scares me.
And the thing is, that's quite a rational fear, because one day we will get to that. We will, I won't, because I'm immortal, but you'll grow older eventually. There's an old headmaster that I still train, and he's old. He's like 1,000 or something. And one of the things he just learned to do recently was ask for help, because he was one of those people that he tried to soldier on, and he's late 70s, I think, is at the very least. And he only just last year, I can't remember what it was, he was unwell, and I helped him with his dogs and a few other bits and pieces, moving things. And that was one thing he realised, is he now needs to surrender to his ego and just ask for help, because he can't do the things that he used to just go and do. If something needed done, like the grass cut or a heavy box moved, he would just go and get it done. And now he realises it's not so smart, because he's not as strong, mobile as he used to be.
Freaks me out big time. Like, imagine, I remember my dad saying this one time, like, even when he got to 60, he used to say he still felt like in his head he could do the things physically as if he was 18.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, like, his mind kind of stopped then physically. So, like, as he got older, he used to be like, it scared him a little bit, because his brain almost wasn't, do you know what I mean? Like, you must get to a stage in your life where your brain kind of stops, and that's why it's hard.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? Like, you're kind of trapped in a way.
Well, the thing is as well, and like a lot of some of the people watching this, or even some of my clients, are 50s, 60s, 70s, that kind of thing. And I, when I reflect on things like, oh, Rab, but you're still young. I'm like, yeah, but I can still reflect on the changes that I've noticed up to 32 that I am now. Up to 40. Like when I was 18, I would recover from weights quickly, could do anything. Mid to late 20s, I realised I needed a bit longer in between. Definitely into my 30s, I was like, wow, I need to stretch. Like, because if I don't stretch...
That's like me now.
If
I can't even cross my legs for long anymore.
See what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
And then obviously now I'm touching 40, there's little things I've even noticed. And then people say, oh, Rab, when you get to my age, I'm like, yeah, I can completely appreciate that. When you then approach 50s and 60s, there's other things that you need, that you would start to kind of, I mean, recovery is one of the key things. But some of the older generation, one of their biggest fears is falling. And there is actually a scientific reason as to why that happens. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. So, in your lifespan, right, you fall a lot when you're a toddler, and you fall, or you can fall more when you're an adult, and then you've got this period in between where you're fairly upright. And it all comes down to exercise makes a huge difference, from the very fact that, say you exercise your legs, right? You do some sort of leg work. And I don't mean walking. That's what a lot of people say. Oh, I do walking for my legs. You're like, yeah, that doesn't quite cut it. You have to like put the muscle through as close to full range of motion as you can. The reason for that is it builds up the muscle fibers, which has motor pathways and connections. So you think when you're walking, you're transferring your weight from one leg to the other, right? You're planting your weight onto that leg. There needs to be enough strength for you to take your weight and shock absorb. Then on top of that, you've got to take into account uneven surfaces, slips, or even the lack of proprioception, which means you've taken your step and you've misjudged it slightly. Now, we've all done it. You step and you misjudge it, you're like, oh, and you start to lose your balance. Now, when you lose your balance, your muscles fire very, very quickly to correct it. But as you age, they don't fire as quickly. And also, if you don't have the same muscle mass, it's very hard to correct, and you can lead to falls. And they did studies into it where post-mortem, they did cross-section of the quadriceps, which is basically your thigh muscle. And they recorded that people, the elderly patients that exercise had thicker thigh muscles and recorded 90% less falls than the ones that quite openly didn't exercise, had much atrophied muscles, because it's use them or lose them when it comes to muscles, and they recorded a huge amount more falls. And you think of a young child, a baby, a toddler, right? They don't have the muscle there yet, so of course they're going to fall. They don't have the muscle, they don't have the balance. But guess what? They're a foot from the ground and they bounce. They're quite squishy, right? So when they fall, they land on their ass usually, and they're fine. But adults, we've got further to fall, and as we age, we typically get heavier. And if you don't do weight-bearing activity, your bones start to get brittle, and you can end up with osteoporosis. So when you fall, things start to break. Which is not good. So there's the scientific waffle from Coach Rab. Now we need some fluffy chat with me to balance it out. But yeah, ultimately, you know, the elderly are afraid of slips, trips, and falls, and you can understand why, because when they do fall, it really does hurt.
Is there anything you feel now at your age that freaks you out a little bit that you can't do?
Well, as I was saying before, stretching, like.
But I mean, is there like a position, like I used to be able to fold my legs.
Yeah.
Well, only until about last year.
Can you put your legs behind your head?
You know.
I bet you dislocate a hip if you try. No, you're right. There is a position, not like that. No. There was somewhere I was. Where was I? Oh, kneeling. Yeah, kneeling. Don't know why my eyes went really wide there. Kneeling.
Yeah,
kneeling. Good old kneeling. Yeah, kneeling. If I kneel down for too long, you know, if I'm playing with the girls or whatever, I'm down. I'm like, oh, you know, and
does that freak you out?
It does a little bit, and all it does is, well, it doesn't, because I know that if I just spent more time stretching, it probably wouldn't be a problem. But do I do it? No. You do, but I don't do. You do, and I don't do. So
yeah, that's probably my biggest fear.
Yeah.
What's your biggest fear?
My biggest fear is any sort of tragedy, especially involving my girls. Something that you just can't. You know, that's so.
Yes.
You know that. I don't. I mean, there's lots of people, and I hope this doesn't trigger anyone.
It's my biggest fear for you, to be honest.
Yeah, I genuinely feel that, and we all know this in life. You pray for your friends and family that nobody has to outlive their children, and sometimes, unfortunately, happens. And you're at the mercy when you have children. The greatest thing that come into your life, but you're also vulnerable to it as well because you want them to stay healthy, you want them to outlive you, you want them to flourish. And every now and again you do get those kind of little silly thoughts where you think, oh my goodness, what? It's usually when silly things like they've been on a school trip and they aren't back yet, and you think, oh my goodness, they're on a school bus, what if there's this happens, what if that, you know these things. And that's as a father talking. I know mothers, their heads go to the nth degree with that as well. So that would be my biggest fear. Everything else in my life is more dislikes. Like snakes and spiders, I'm not afraid of them in the sense, like if I had to grab a snake, I would grab a snake. If I had to squash a spider, even a tarantula, I would get it done. So it's not a fear that I cannot go near them, I just don't like them. If that makes sense.
You can overcome a fear though.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, or what, snakes and spiders, or? I would say they're more a dislike. And I don't think I'll ever like them, to be perfectly honest. They get in your face. Like
sometimes I wonder why we're so scared of spiders. If you actually look at a spider, it's so small. Like, why are we so afraid? Especially in Scotland, like, spiders don't kill us. When I lived in Australia, fair dues, you know.
Yeah.
Those spiders could kill you. But when I'm here, I'm like, why does that thing terrify me?
I know, and I don't... Well, it's been suggested before, and again, maybe somebody else will know better than I would, that, you know, you inherit fears from parents.
Yes, that is so true.
And I know, like, my mum was afraid of spiders. My dad wasn't. My dad used to always call them Malcolm. Every spider was Malcolm, by the way, so there you go. But the weird thing is with spiders, I'm not actually afraid of them. I just don't like them. And case in point, like, if one's there in the corner of the room, I'll just leave it. I don't care. But if one of my girls is scared, I actually don't mind, A, squashing them, or two, I don't mind grabbing them to throw them out the window if it's for the sake of my girls. Where if it's me, I'm like, I'll just either leave them, or if you find one a bit close, I'm like, big mistake, buddy. You should have stayed hidden, concealed. Conceal, don't feel. Now you're going to feel my slipper. Take that. So yeah, it's more for me. But the weird thing, what you're saying about spiders, right, is that like a daddy long legs is basically a spider with wings, right?
Yeah.
And yet they're not as menacing for some reason.
No, they're flimsy as anything. You just give them like a...
Oh wait, that's what you do to me.
Yeah. Do you feel like you've developed more fears?
Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Because, yeah, that's a good point.
Because I feel like obviously in your youth, you're less scared, right? Like I jumped out of a plane 14,000 feet and like that didn't fit. Like I was afraid and it was a fear, but you know, now I'm like, oh God, I don't think I could do that now. Like as you get older, but I don't have children or anything, so I guess when you're a parent, you've got, you know, you want to make sure you are as safe as possible. But like I still feel like that when I don't have children. So
yeah, well, it's interesting because I just make different choices now, like things that I would have done or potentially done when I didn't have children. I just choose not to do them now because I just think, I wouldn't want to run the risk. But it's funny you mentioned like jumping out of planes and heights. Like I thought I didn't have an issue with heights, but then something happened to me when I was younger where we were, there used to be a golf course nearby and they were doing up the golf club. So scaffolding, right? And we were away climbing on it. I think I was 9, 10 years old. And we used to do this whole thing when you were younger where you'd push somebody, but then grab them last minute and be like, oh, saved your life. You know, like push them and grab them. So I went up on this scaffolding and it was I say only, still quite high. It was like, 2 floors up. So a room is 8 foot, it was 16 to 20 feet up, right? And I had a shell suit top on because it was all the rage. And one of my friends went to push me. I was at the edge and he went to push me to save my life. And then he couldn't grip me again. He's like, oh. Now what happened?
No.
It wasn't as tragic as it sounds. He pushed me enough that my centre of gravity went over the edge. And then I was tipping, right? I was like, oh. So I had no choice but to then jump. I was already, because he pushed me to the point over the tipping, I had to then jump, right?
Oh, no.
So now what I find, whenever I'm up somewhere high, I'm okay so long as no one's behind me. And so like if I have to go and look over the edge of something, which I quite enjoy doing, I kind of like check behind me. And I don't like anybody standing behind me. I don't like it. But I will go to the edge and look over so long as no one's near me, which is like...
I guess as well, depending who you're with, your fears go out the window, don't they, for that person?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
So your fear can actually
yeah.
not be your fear. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? If you had a fear and you were in, I don't know, you were in danger, I'd be like, I don't care. I'll save you.
She likes to throw that right arm around.
I'd be like, I'll save you.
Would you save me?
Yeah, of course I would.
Just checking. Just checking.
Would you save me?
I'd think about it. I would think about it. Of course I would.
Yes, you would.
I actually did a bit of homework, and
Okay.
I found out the top 10. Now
How have you got my...
we've got another doggy in here, which is quite sweet. What's she got now? What, she doesn't even get the
This is
camera tripod.
Poppy. Poppy. Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yeah, don't want to do it now and get the camera.
Yeah, we'll keep her there. Stay. Good girl. She's got my shoe and now she's got my socks. Sorry.
No, my socks.
Oh, your socks.
They're my socks.
She's crawled
I
under
took
the
them off because
table.
it's too low. Right, I did my homework. Now we actually have to start calling them phobias so we sound more professional.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so top 10 list of most common phobias. What do you think was at number 1, Libby? The top.
Top 10 phobias.
What to do is name one and I'll tell you where it falls in the top 10.
Top 10 phobias. Spiders has got to be up there.
So spiders is number 4, which is arachnophobia, which a lot of people, that's quite common.
Yeah.
A lot of people know that arachnophobia means
Oh,
fear of spiders.
small spaces.
That's claustrophobia. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It only actually lists 8 out of the 10 here, so that was 8th, believe it or not. Yeah.
Okay.
Go for one more, or until you run out of ideas, and then I'll help you.
Oh, okay.
Since I've got the list here, it's not here.
What else? Heights.
Heights was the 7th one, yeah, which is acrophobia. I didn't actually know that myself.
I don't know what else. You have to help me.
Okay, so fear of flying, which was in 8th place, is aerophobia. That's quite a common one.
Oh, okay.
Okay. However, number 1, we'll just jump straight in. No foreplay. Is, and I don't know how. I'll get a good crack, right? Achiptophobia is a fear of failure.
A tip chip.
One moment, please. You try.
A chip phobia.
Achipophobia.
Chipophobia.
Achipophobia.
Chippy phobia.
Ichipophobia. Fear of failure.
Right.
Which is interesting because some of the times the people I work with for a weight loss journey do really, really well. They lose, say they had 80, 100 pounds to lose, right? And they lose a lot down to a certain point, and then they just kind of stop because they've had lots of success, and then they're afraid that they can't get all the way to their goal. So they kind of abandon ship because it's almost like a fear of success coupled with a fear of rolling backwards failure, and they give up. Or some of them don't start because they're afraid they're going to fail, which is really, really sad. It's like, I'm not bothered trying because to try and fail in their heads, they can't cope with.
Or I guess it's kind of like if you have a big dream, you just go, oh, it's a big dream.
Yeah.
Because then really psychologically you think I'll probably fail in that, so I just won't.
I won't try. And that's quite sad, isn't it? Like if you're afraid of failing to the point where you don't even give it a go.
Yeah, I guess us as self-employed, that's kind of...
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're right, actually, because there's a lot of people that are employed that have these business goals, dreams of what they wanted to do, but they never start because they're in the safety of employment.
Yeah, and they've got the fear, because that was certainly the fear for me. I thought, this is quite out there.
And the thing is, that's still a rational fear, isn't it? Because we need to have an income, or most of us need an income, to pay our bills and live our lives. And if you've got responsibilities, if you're going to give up that secure income to explore an unsecured income, it's quite rational that you'd have a fear of failure, and, you know, a lack of belief. And because it's not until you start rolling with things and start to get a bit of success that then you start thinking, oh, that was silly. You know, of course it's
So what's the next one?
Well, the next one, oh, for fuck's Joint effort. We're supposed to be powerful tonight.
Oh.
Try that. Thanatophobia. Thanatophobia? Thanatophobia?
Thanatophobia, yeah.
Thanatophobia.
Thanatophobia.
Is it fear of the dead?
You know Italians.
Yes. Yeah, fear of death. Thanatophobia. Yeah. And then the other one was fear of developing a disease, which is nossophobia.
Right. Remember I said to you not long ago, when we were in bed, and I was like, how good you...
It's just different.
It's not me, it's you.
That's quite. It happens quite a lot. It happens to most guys. It's quite normal.
Do you remember me saying to you, like, the next morning?
This gets worse. Right, let's be mature now, Libby.
Do you remember me
I
boasting?
Oh.
I'm kidding. Like, jokes aside. Do you not remember me saying in the morning one time? Oh,
It's almost like
I can't now. Stop, because I'm actually trying to say. Do you remember me saying in the morning one time?
I'm supposed to be the immature one.
Sorry.
Don't worry, I'm mature.
I was saying that I was up all night because
You kept me all up all night, Mr. Shields.
I was up all night because I was worried about dying. Do you remember me saying that?
Yeah.
I was panicking about the thought of dying, and it was the most bizarre thing. Like, no triggers, no, like, we had a lovely evening. It was so weird. We had a lovely evening, and it was just so weird. I just had I was thinking in my head, I was like, does it go black, or like, am I gonna feel anything? Like, it was just really bizarre, and like, I was like, that day is gonna come one day. Everybody has to face death, and it really freaked me out, and I couldn't sleep. And then you were snoring, totally happy, and I was freaking out in my head.
Snoring. Rosy wine. 40. That was the third one. Yeah, it's interesting because I remember when I was turning 40, I was like, shit, like, I'll be 40. Like, wow. And then all of a sudden you start breaking that down. You think, well, the average guy lives to, I don't know, late 70s, 80s. I'm immortal, so I'm obviously immune to that. However, with that being said, if I was a normal guy, I'm almost midlife. I'm like, wow. Not to mention the second half of your life. Well, isn't it weird, isn't it? Because, like, they say time goes faster, but it's because each year of your life, like, my 40th to 41 is 1/40th. So it's a much smaller chunk. That's why it goes faster. But in your first 10 years of your life, each year is 10%. Well, your 10th year of life is 10% of what you've already lived. So that's why it feels so long. So when you're 10 years old, a year took a long time to get through.
Yeah.
But suddenly when you're 40, it's only 1/40th. And before you know it, it's like, Christ, we're midway through September.
Yeah. Was that not one of the questions?
What about?
It was like, why does it feel like time goes so slow when you're younger, but goes so fast when you're older?
That wasn't one of the questions, man. That's a bit badass. What's your take on that one, maybe, Professor Libson?
Don't ask me, I'm asking you.
Don't ask me, I'm asking you.
You've always got the
I just answered it with that. I've always got the answers. Probably because of that. And you're busier, isn't it? Because if you're...
Yeah, but like a day goes so quick.
But usually it depends how busy you are, right? I mean, if you've... Case in point, if you've ever gone through any sort of really bad time or traumatic experience, or if you're going through a bad time where you're waiting for something, let's just say you've either gone through a breakup or a court case or bad time at work and you're off work or whatever it may be, you know, when time almost like goes really slow and you're like, I can't believe that's only an hour. But it felt like so long. But the opposite's true. When you're busy and you're just getting on with things and getting loads of things done, before you know it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you're like, oh my goodness, your mind just zones out. So
sometimes not, though. I would probably disagree.
Oh, she's fighting. There she goes.
I would disagree. Sometimes if I'm watching TV all day or movies all day, it gets to 7 o'clock and I'm like, damn it, I've All I've done is watch movies all day.
Does the day go fast or does it go slow?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you're distracted though, because then you're kind of watching movies.
Oh, right. Well, yeah, well, you're not going to stare at a wall all day, are you?
Oh, sometimes when things are bad, you stare at walls, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Oh well. But fear is also at the root of dishonesty. They say that one of the key reasons for people telling lies is for fear of the consequences of the truth.
Oh, well, that makes sense, doesn't it?
So when people, when they say, oh, I'm not afraid of anything, but then they'll tell a lie, you're like, oh, wait a second, you just told a lie about your lie. Because, I'm not afraid of anything. But then they tell a lie. It's like, well, if you're not afraid of the consequences, why not tell the truth? Now, of course...
Yeah. Wait, are these like serious lies or?
Or both. I mean, even from the white lie basis, like, your children ask you something like, say you're driving along and there's clearly been an accident in the other lane, right? And your kids are going, oh, what's happened there, Daddy? Oh, just somebody's hurt their leg, right? You're clearly telling a lie because the consequences of saying they've shut the road, this is probably pretty bad. You don't want to be saying that to young children. So that's how you've done it for their benefit. But in other scenarios, when people withhold the truth or just tell blatant lies, a lot of the time it's because they're afraid of the consequences of the truth. They've concealed the truth because they don't want to have to deal with it. So they say something different, and usually it comes back to bite them. But ultimately, that's what it comes down to. And that comes down to fear. Because if you're not afraid of the consequences, say you were in the wrong for whatever it was, and you're not afraid of the consequences, you tend to be quite honest. You're like, I messed up. This is what I did. Really sorry. And you deal with the consequences, right?
But then isn't that really silly though? Because the person that's just lied has now got a fear that lie is going to be told that it's a lie.
Well, what's that phrase? Oh, the tangled web we weave when we practice to deceive. Yeah, right, yeah.
Too many times I've heard that.
Yes. But the problem is it's a knee-jerk reaction. Most people lie
So is that
emotionally and quick. Well, it's deep. It's fueled by a fear of the truth. They're
Right.
trying to cover up whatever it is, but it tends to be a knee-jerk. And then they have to roll with the lie. And then they're like, bugger. Now, some people are quite strong that they've maybe lied the day before and they come back and say, actually, I told you it wasn't me that spilled out on the carpet, but it actually was, or something like that. I'm really, really sorry. They then come clean, and that's fine. But yeah, fundamentally, for the majority of, not for all lies, but for the majority of lies, it's the fear of the consequences of the truth. And obviously there's manipulation factors. Sometimes people lie to manipulate and get what they want. But ultimately, when it comes down to, did you do this or did this happen? If they do not tell the truth, they're afraid of the truth. That's ultimately what comes down to.
Makes sense, doesn't it?
There you go, right? We actually had a few questions. So we put the post out in advance and we have a few questions. And there's some really good ones. We're going to get a nice and easy one out of the way.
Is this to me?
This is to you, to me, to you.
To me, to you. Oh, is this the one you were telling me?
Yeah, I wanted it to be genuine when you gave your response.
Okay.
You
Hit
took
me.
the broken glass. There's a chipped glass, and I don't like when you take it in case you hurt your mouth. So I'm just going to have to take your larger glass. I'm just kidding.
Give me the chip glass.
It's been a long day.
No.
Let's see. So it's questions for Libby.
Okay.
How often does she brush her hair? So on last week's episode, we were talking about the shininess, which Libby deliberately did and just kept in a ponytail this week to keep it real. It's still very shiny, by the way.
Yeah, sorry guys, again, I'm a dog walker, and actually every day, you see me here, you see my hair shiny, but actually every day, I don't wash my hair every day or every week. I basically scrape it back. So that's why it looks like this, but yes, I do brush it.
But how often? Because I think she was
Every day.
coming down every day, but how often a day?
Oh.
How many reps? How many sets? How many sessions?
Twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day, depending on if I'm going out. So I will scrape my hair back. So I have to brush my hair to scrape my hair back. Or I brush it before bed.
Just so I get a full understanding here. So the movie Tangled, you know that song?
Yes.
Now, in comparison, do you brush and brush and brush your hair? Because it's quite a cool song.
Yeah. Yes, I do.
To the level she does it?
No.
If she's Olympic level, are you like amateur, professional,
No.
or just doing it for fun?
No, I do it because I like the feeling of my hair being brushed. So because I don't wash it every day, when I do brush it, it feels like it just feels quite nice. I quite like brushing my hair.
There you go.
So yeah, 3 times a day at most.
Because she then went on to say that is usually more important than washing for long hair. Brushing distributes your natural hair, which is best.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it does, yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
Also as well, always brush your hair before you wash it. Not everybody, I thought everybody did this, but they don't. Always brush it before you wash it.
And don't eat yellow snow.
Also as well, don't use loads of products.
Don't pee into the wind.
Use minimal products. A lot of people say that about your skin as well. Like, don't use a lot of products in your face.
And don't drink bleach. Really good advice.
Yeah, don't drink bleach either.
There we are. There you go. A couple of other questions. This was from Joe. How about talking about why are we all in such a hurry? Quite like that one.
I think, why are we all in such a hurry? Well, because it's expensive. Life now.
Yeah. The interesting thing with time, right? It doesn't matter how wealthy you are, you've still only got 24 hours in a day. Was it Jeff Bezos is worth however many trillion? You've got your Apple man, what's his name? Oh my gee, he passed away. The point is even the top billionaires and trillionaires still only have 24 hours in a day. Now they'll argue they can spend them on their yacht. With that being said, you can't buy more time. Right, we've all got the same number of minutes. It's how you choose to spend it. So are you in a hurry then? And you think about those times you spend waiting.
Yeah. It depends what you're doing, right? So like driving, I've noticed this,
No. I drive a Volvo, right? So be nice. Be nice.
You are quite chilled when you're driving a lot.
Yeah, exactly. There we are.
I'm not saying drive dangerously, but like you do sometimes.
See, Joe's asking this to you. Why are you in such a hurry all the time?
Because sometimes why I'm in such a hurry is because I know life's short. And sometimes I feel like when I get things done quickly, I can then spend more time with people like you.
Oh, look, she's clawing it back.
Quality time with you. So when I get things done, so that's why sometimes I'm like, right, I'm mowing the lawn, I've got to clean the house, I've got to do the carpets, and I have to do all of this before Rab gets here. And sometimes you're like, oh, just do it when I'm here. I'm like, no, get it all done so then I can spend quality time with you. So you could kind of see that as a rush, isn't it? It's like, let's go to the shops, get that done so then we can get back and
Do you remember what you
spend
said
some time with the kids. Like, I don't know.
So when our van was off the road, I was driving her around. And we're obviously doing all different pickups. And I was driving, right? And I says, oh, how's it all looking? She says, yeah. But if you drive any slower, we'll be late. But remember, you weren't meaning it like that. You were just meaning that if we're on time, if we keep driving the pace we're going, which was moderate, we'll be fine. But if you drive any slower, we're going to be late. But the way it came out was like...
If you drive any slower, we're going to be late.
Yeah, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, people are, I mean, you think of it, everything's instant now, isn't it? Or almost, or virtually instant. Like, I remember the analogy was used was like, if there was a 10-minute ad program and somebody brought out an 8-minute ad program, you'd do the 8-minute because you'd save yourself 2 minutes, right? And now everything's always shorter, quicker, faster. I mean, you think Amazon, Prime, next day deliver, advert. But you know, you can get things even quicker. Like, even when you go onto Prime, you're going to buy something. And something will arrive on Thursday or tomorrow, right? But then something else will arrive next week, and even if it's £1 cheaper, but you're like, nah, I want it tomorrow. You want everything now. And this is the problem even with people's health and wellness, is that when they decide to make changes to the health, like, I want to lose weight, I want to get in shape, I want to feel better, they start making changes, and then they step on the scales or look in the mirror and like, why am I not already in shape? I've been working out for a whole 3 days in a row. And they want the results quick now.
Is that not patience, though?
Well, I guess that ties in with what Joe's asking then, isn't it? Why are we all in such a hurry? Have we lost patience?
I think so. I think because of technology, we've lost patience.
Yeah. When you think even with devices, like WhatsApp, you've got read reports and typing reports.
Yeah.
You know when someone's typing. Remember the days when like you didn't have a mobile phone, so you could only phone them when somebody was at their house or at their work, and that was
Which I miss. I miss that.
the good old days. Whereas now you're expected to be caught at all times. In fact, even I got in a bit of a pickle today actually because I had a missed call from Libby, and so I dropped her a message which didn't deliver. I was like,
when really I was just eating a Subway.
so I went to ring her back. I thought, and it's when someone doesn't answer. I was like, oh, that's fine. Come on. So I was like, normally she rings back. So I rang again. I was like, and then you're like, something must be wrong.
Yeah, she's not phoning me back.
And then eventually you answered. She's like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm like, oh, thank God for that.
Yeah, I know, bless. You were so worried.
Over something, not over nothing.
Yeah.
It's just because normally we chat all day, and if she rings, I can answer, and vice versa. So when someone doesn't, you suddenly go, oh. It's because you rang me first, like 2 minutes before, 3 minutes before.
Yeah. To be fair, you hadn't answered my calls all day.
Oh, let's see how this goes, eh?
No, I actually was. I was inside getting a Subway and I left my phone in the van.
Brand new, expensive phone, worth thousands of pounds probably. If you're Apple, it would definitely be thousands of pounds, but you're not Apple, eh? We'll leave that to one side and just leave it lying around. Just leave it.
Says you're like, oh, I don't know why it didn't ring. And then 10, hours later, oh, I was playing the game. I'm like, oh, right.
I've told you that when that game came out, things will change. Well, it's as they say, is that when you meet somebody, they can only keep a facade up for 3 months, right? So we were like 7 months down the line.
Where is this? Where the?
They say.
Right. Is there any actual evidence of this?
Right, Miss Scientific. Gee, what is it? Just saying they. It's probably the Facebook or probably TikTok say it, right?
Yeah.
But we made a good 7 months, and it's not because of the time. It's because a new game came out, and that just changed everything.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Do you feel like you're in a rush?
Sometimes I do actually. Yeah. I always want to get to my goals a little bit quicker because I want my goals. I mean, impatient. There we are. Yeah. But then there's other times like. Because if I'm trying to get in shape for something, I know how long it takes. So I'm actually not that impatient when it comes to them because I enjoy the process, weirdly enough. But then other things like when I have an idea for a new program, I want it made already because I'm excited about it.
Yes.
And I'm like,
that is so you.
Yeah,
You're a bit like me like that.
I go 100 miles an hour. It's like when we decided to do this podcast, I'd already ordered mics, green screen.
Yeah.
And we were recording the first episode like 36 hours later.
To be fair, that's what's really good about your personality. When Rab says he's going to do something,
He finds a way.
He does it, and you do it within, hours. You're like, I've got a green screen, I've got this, I've got that, right, we'll do it tomorrow. I'm like, whoa. My God, we were just talking about this an hour ago.
That's why on the first podcast she wasn't wearing a bra. She didn't have any time.
God. Yeah, literally. Yeah. That's a great quality to have. When you say you're going to do something, you get it. Rab gets it done.
Gets it done.
Well, do you know what I was going to say? How I realised everybody was in a rush was when I was actually a waitress.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was a waitress for 9 years. So it was quite a long time. And I realised since COVID, because I was a waitress during COVID, not during COVID, obviously after COVID, I saw a massive difference in people rushing after COVID.
Yeah.
Within the hospitality industry, people had no patience. They, drink. Everything needed to be super quick. When actually back in the day, before. Years and years ago when I worked in hospitality, people loved buying a bottle of wine and just sitting there for hours and hours and hours, and then they would buy starters and then they would have a main. It was all very chilled and relaxed. Going out for dinner now it's sort of like, well, our drinks haven't arrived yet, and I feel like it's so different now, and people are looking at the clock. Well, we ordered our drink 15 minutes ago and we've still not got drinks, which potentially would be quite long, but definitely it never used to be like that. People were way more relaxed.
I must admit, I'm quite bad for that. I mean, I'm bad for feeling it. I never say anything, but I love going for breakfast, and I prefer to go to breakfast places that do buffet style breakfast because you typically get it served quite quickly, right? because you go in, you get your stuff onto your plate, and off you go. But every now and again, I'll go to some place where you order your breakfast and bring it out. Now, we're okay on the weekend, we're quite relaxed on that. But if I've got a working week and like 20 minutes passed and they still haven't like brought me my coffee, I'm like, oh no. Because sometimes it's because they're short staffed. But then I start thinking, what was going to be a nice, relaxed morning is all of a sudden going to be made into a rush because of my breakfast. So,
why would you just decide not to go out?
well, but what I mean is once you're already there and you're committed, like maybe I've got a spare hour, an hour spare, right? I think I'll go and have breakfast. Now, normally, let's just say I can get served quite quickly. Breakfast is served within 20 minutes, give or take, and you've got your coffee, you have your breakfast, and I'm a pig, so I eat quite quickly, and I'm done and dusted in half an hour and away again, right? With that option to stay longer if I'm dilly-dallying.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, there's one day, you've gone in, you've committed to the order, you've sat down, and then you realise 20 minutes have passed, you don't even have your coffee, you're like, oh no, this is not going to be great. And then you're getting your breakfast at the 45-minute mark, because they're run off their feet, it's not their fault, and all of a sudden you're like, this is not great, because you feel a bit trapped. So whilst I would never say anything, because that would just be a shame for the staff, you still feel that element of the rush, isn't it? Was there one? Oh, here's a good question, especially for today. Question is, why are some people so rude? Why have manners and being, or where have manners and being polite gone? Where have they gone, Libby?
Where have they gone, guys?
Yeah. Everybody's so angry, aren't they?
Everyone's so angry.
Yeah.
Also, as well, where have the manners gone?
Where have the manners gone?
The manners gone, people.
Where are the manners?
Where? I don't know where they are. I can't see them.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think. Again, don't mean to sound like an old woman here, but
It's a definite
again,
pause.
I think it's due to technology.
Oh, really?
I do. I believe that we have lost a lot of basic human communication due to technology.
I agree. Yeah.
I do. I think we have got so used to technology that we have lost basic human communication, which manners come with.
You just have to drive along, like if I ever have to nip into town, you drive past a lot of bus stops, everybody's sat on a device. If they're waiting, they're on a device. Now in the good old days, you didn't have that, right? So you would maybe have your earphones in if you had music or something, or you would speak to somebody or be polite, or it doesn't matter. But people are glued to their screens in gaps. And I'm going to hold my hand up and say I'm one of those, well, I'm not a bus stop, but sometimes when I've got gaps, I do fill it with devices. But the problem is if you're always looking down, right, you're not really interacting with people and things become shorter. And I'll never forget when there was this one time where, and it was before, well, was smartphones in by this point? I had to go into the post office, right? But I was on the phone to someone when I was in the queue. But I had a headphone in, or headphones in, so it was fine. I say it's fine, still, whatever. But the way it happened was I was two back in the queue and I was just finishing up the call. It wasn't anything too important, but I had to get the last bit of information for the call. And the two people in front of me got served really quick. So I was like, I was not expecting to almost be served. So I was trying to then say to the person, right, I've got to go, I'm about to be served. And the guy, the postmaster, he was not happy. And he called me out on it. He says, that's rude. And he would refuse to serve me until I'd finished the call. And I was like, oh. And he kind of had a point.
Kind of good for him, though, in a way.
Yeah.
I know he wasn't in the right, but...
But it was that sense of, like, I wouldn't have been that would have been rude to be on the phone. I had headphones on the phone while trying to be served. I just wasn't expecting to all of a sudden be served so quickly. Like, two people went in front. One of them just asked for something. Somebody else had handed something in. So before I knew it, I was then getting served. I was like, whoa. But there was that, I mean, he was then abrupt with me, but obviously he's experienced that a lot. But there are people that would literally go up to the post office counter while still on the phone and then just get served.
Yeah. I do also think as well, like, where we are now is a lot more people are in it for themselves. And what I mean by that is I mean a lot of communities have been lost.
Yeah.
Like, if you think about it, remember back in the day, like, where, like, let's just say, like, this whole street, everybody would look after each other. you know, but now it's like our generation, especially, like we struggle to even open a door, don't we? If it rings, you're like, oh, who's that? Who's at the door? Like we don't know, you know. We're all very in on ourselves now. It's not, and I think that as well has lost a lot of community spirit, I think.
It's also perception. Like I had an instant in Tesco's #advert or poor advert, where now again there was another person looking on. I do the self-scan thing, and when I got there, I was buying your booze, by the way. And what happened was I went to scan, and obviously you had to get thingied for over 18. Bleep, bleep, and the girl then came to just kind of okay it. But she was in the middle of a conversation with other staff members. She turned around to okay it. So I went to hand her the alcohol that had the security tag on it. And she just very abruptly said to me, oh, no, we do that at the end. And she completely turned her back on me. And what I'm trying to say is that one of the other members of staff, a younger girl who usually always says hi, saw my face. So I was then partially rude when I was like, I gave a look to say, what the fuck? Basically. And then scanned my payment card and then just stood and waited for her. Because obviously thingies are light again because the security card needs to be taken off. Because I was like, 2 seconds later it's paid and then the girl's going to then take the tag off. But she was so abrupt because she was too busy chatting to her colleague about what they were going to do on the staff night out or whatever they were going to do. It was the fact she completely turned her back. And I was like,
that's rude.
Wow, I would never have done that in customer service. I was working with a customer who I knew I was going to then have to sort something with right at 2 seconds later. It was just the most bizarre thing. But my point to that is, it comes down to perception because then I had a face like thunder. I was like, who the fuck? And then when I saw the kind of girl who's always very polite to me, she kind of was like she felt the pain of what happened. But then if that girl had gone away going, that guy was so rude to you, you just never know, isn't it? You just never know how, it's all about how people see things.
Yeah, no, that definitely should have not been dealt that way.
You listening Tesco managers turning your back on your staff. Outrageous.
I get you. I was telling you the other day, but I went through the drive-thru in Costa.
It's a drive-thru, by the way. What happens when you go into the shop? What's that? Is that going into the shop?
Yeah.
Drive-thru, shop.
Yeah,
I just want to clear that up, everybody.
And this lady, it was quite busy in Costa, in the drive-thru. There's quite a couple of cars. And I don't know, like, it's busy. I can't go anywhere. So sometimes when it's busy, see, for me, I'm a bit different. I'm like, well, I've decided to go. I've decided, even if I'm in a rush or I'm not in a rush, I've decided to get a coffee. And that's my decision. That's not the person who, their lowest staff or whatever, like, you know, that's my decision. I've made that decision. So that's not their fault, you know, anyway, and there was this lady and she was howling down the road, you fucking hurry up, out her window. And I'm like, right behind me, and I'm like, oh my God. And I know the drive-through folk in Costa, and they're quite young, and I sometimes feel bad because I'm like, that's somebody's daughter.
Yeah.
Like that could be, you know, that could potentially be Mila or Misha one day. Yeah. And I'm like, I would never would speak to them like that, you know. And I actually said to the drive-through folk, I went, just to pre-warn you, like the lady in the back is really angry. And she was super rude to the staff, really rude. And I just felt really sorry for them, actually.
Was it not in there? I could have sworn it was in that Costa that the manager then refunded the person and refused to serve them. Was it not in that one?
Remember I told you about that?
Yeah, what was you that told me? That's genius. That's
they
brilliant.
Basically, this couple, apparently they came in the day before and there's something had happened. Yeah. But they had come in, they had ordered like 8 toasties. And they had gone back out and they came back 2 hours later. They then came back to Costa and got their toasties. And then they gave them their toasties. Been like, well, where have you been? And like, we've just put these toasties in for you. And then they complained that their toasties were cold. They were like, you've just come back 2 hours later. And they were so rude. They were saying what a waste of space they all were. Like, all in front of the whole shop. And anyway.
The thing is, whenever there's any sort of altercation, you know when somebody's like extremely rude and outrageous, you almost just have to stop, like, oh my goodness, like there's obviously something going on in that person's world, or has been going on, that they would react in such a
Oh,
way.
you have to, because you're not naturally like that.
Yeah, and
You're
just
not
to be
born that
so
way.
triggered so quickly.
Yeah. A hard life, potentially.
And to take out on staff, like at the end of the day, they don't pay these staff enough to put up with all the BS that they do. But see that person kicking off in the queue, like, I mean, apart from that, it's rude and it's unkind. You'd always run the risk. I mean, imagine you had somebody that was a bit of a loose cannon that was making the coffee and thought, you know what, I'm going to just, yeah, I'm so sorry. Like, it could totally happen,
Do you know what? I'll tell you a secret.
Oh, no, no.
No, not to that extent. I wouldn't do that. That's a bit unhygienic. But...
What were you thinking?
Well, you said spit.
All right, I was just checking that's what you were thinking. My mind then automatically went to the movie Road Trip when he puts the... Never mind.
Oh, okay. One thing I did do in hospitality to somebody who's rude.
Oh.
It's quite a normal thing that hospitality folk do.
Oh.
Yeah. And there was another thing, my friend who worked at Pizza Hut, she told me something she did and I thought it was so good. So basically, when they come up, they're like, can we have a coffee? And they're like, they've just been rude the whole night. And you're like, yeah, what do you want? And they're like, oh, I'll have a caffeinated cappuccino. And if they were really rude, you'd just give them decaf. It's not even that big, but you would give them decaf. Or my friend who worked at Pizza Hut, she said somebody was really rude to her one time, this lady, that she didn't slice the pizza fully.
Oh,
so like,
right. So it looked like it was cut, but
so
not.
it looked like it was cut, so she just did the top bit. So when she obviously got the pizza, she had to rip it all apart. I was like, that is so good. And it was to somebody that was really rude to her. So hospitality folk do that. And I have to rude people. I have to admit, I have to rude people in hospitality. I've either given them a bit less, especially alcohol as well. Like if they're being, rude and they're fueled by alcohol, I would give them less in a shot.
Well, when I was 16, I did a 2-year stretch at McDonald's.
Did you?
I did, yeah, I did.
I did not know this.
Sorry, I put it behind me.
It's kind of sexy.
Oh, please, Jesse's done a 2-year stretch at McDonald's.
Damn, you worked at McDonald's? Where did you work?
In
that section.
I did all the sections, actually. I became training squad, actually.
Did you?
But then, my brother was one of the managers. And it got to the point where I just took the piss. Like, it was one of those things where, like, it was a decent, to be honest, they were great because they'd work around your college times and all that kind of, they were very flexible with what he did. And I was at school and in college with it. But I remember being on shift where I had not just come on shift, so this must have happened like literally 5 or 10 minutes before.
Sorry.
It's just that tail, isn't it? Into bed.
Good girl.
They look so like these two dogs. But yeah, basically what had happened was, I clocked in at 4 o'clock or something. And this person came in to complain and they were absolutely raging. And I didn't really fully understand. I wasn't in the firing line because I was just kind of like, what's going on? And the person I knew who was the duty manager was trying to deal with it. And what had happened was you got these blue cloths for wiping everything down.
Oh, yeah.
And this person being so rude, they put a blue cloth in the Big Mac box. And this person had driven all the way home. Now, in Glen Office, depending on where the drive-through was, this person lived apparently the other side of Glen Office and didn't check their order. He opened up and they'd been an absolute dick. So when they came back in to complain, they were targeting, I can't remember the boy's surname was something Byers, a red-haired guy. And the guy came in, was shouting through the kitchen from front counter at the boy that had served him because he'd been rude to him at the time. So he knew that had somehow been linked to him. And he was raging. And it was, like you say, you didn't know what was going on until I saw, because obviously I'm looking through the kitchen, I'm like, what's that? And I could see the Big Mac box with the blue cloth. And I'm looking around and it's like, yeah, that's the exact same blue cloth in here.
Oh my God.
And you're like, oh my God. I was like, that's harsh.
Wow.
So there you go.
I do remember somebody getting a hair scrunchie in their Coke.
In their Coke?
Yeah. I don't know whether they were rude or not.
Yeah.
But she walked away and she had a full-on hair scrunchie which obviously has greasy hair from McDonald's or whatever, and like bits of hair in her coat.
This is why, like, you know, there's ways of making a complaint. You know, when you say, look, my food's cold, is there any chance you play or whatever? And generally, what you find is if you complain the right way, you usually come away with a voucher or something, and then you feel good about it because you're like, well, they've made an effort to not just correct the order or whatever was wrong, they've also kind of smoothed you over. But yeah, there we go. What was that in? Was there not a Friends episode where somebody was a serial complainer and Phoebe was dating him? Phoebe was dating health and safety guy.
He was the health and safety guy, and he kept pulling out his badge.
And she was loving it. It was like sexier than playing chess, basically.
I do remember that episode,
yeah. So there we are. Are we out of waffle, Libby?
I think we're out of
We've finished our jam shed as well, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So we're going to go and count the tiles on the ceiling now.
You are going to count the tiles.
So, facing your fears, there we go. So overall, what would be your top tip for someone that is afraid of something?
I would say face it. Face your fear. I say life's too short, face it.
Life's too short, face it. That should be on a mug or something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Life's too short, face it. Let's face it, everybody.
Let's face
Life's
it.
too short.
Yeah. Life's too short, face it. Let's face it.
All right, everybody, and hope you like, comment, subscribe. Didn't know how to sign that one off. Like, comment, subscribe, ring the notification bell, all the usual jazz. And if you have any questions for next week's podcast, pop them in the comments below, and we will do our very best to answer them.
Okay.
Okay.
Have a good week, guys.
You can't do a one-handed clap. That's just lame. You're doing so well.